Hi, everybody. Hope everybody had a great Christmas Eve. Yeah, I just got comfortable so I could come on and wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Here we are, burning the midnight oil, of course. All the children are snuggled in bed, waiting, waiting to get up. Um, Really exciting time on this holy night, holy night. Um, President Trump. Um, he declared the 24th and the 26th national holidays. It's golden future. You know, the 26th is, in many countries called Boxing Day or Saint Stephen's Day. In Germany, it's the second Christmas day. There's a lot of reasons for that, and so we were so excited to see that President Trump did that for the 26th for St. Stephen's Day. Um, of course, one of my grandsons, his name is Stephen. So, okay, let's see if I'm on. It looks like I'm on. Looks like everything's okay. Thank you, Laura. Merry Christmas, Laura. We've already started our celebrations, and we're just a large family, and we're going to continue them through the 12 days of Christmas, right? The 12 days of Christmas. It's you'll just see me doing a lot of smiling because um, it's a great time to be around family, really a great time. And I'm very fortunate for that. And of course, our secret password today was Happy Birthday, Jesus. Happy Birthday, Jesus. We were practicing that. Um, okay, let's get started. There's such a serious business. No more serious business than recognizing the manifestation of God coming to earth, right? Coming, you know, can you imagine your God and you just love us so much, and he um he just humbled himself as a child, uh, not to come in riches, um, but to come in riches of a different kind. It's called truth. It's called loyalty. um, a loyalty for justice and righteousness and goodness. And I mean, can you imagine when you have a mother like Mother Mary? She was just so humble. And um, if you don't read the Magnificat like on a nightly basis, you're missing out. You really are missing out because it puts a skip in your walk. And to see her strength and the promises that God gives us through the Magnificat. And those promises have really strengthened us through these whole 5.5 years. There's, just all kinds of Bible lessons that have words from God that have strengthened us through these 5.5 years. And, I don't know what we would do without them. We wouldn't have these victories, these absolute victories. We were so grateful this last year. I'm going to have to put it out. I mean, it started out with President Trump on January 20th, declaring these cartel what they are, FTOs, what they are. And then, of course, on the 24th of this year, the in the line of duty designation for Richard was absolutely huge, and it's so huge that um, it makes the opposition shake in their boots. It makes them shake in their boots because it totally blows up their narrative, right? It blows up their narrative. And then and I could name on and on and on everything that has happened through 2025 that has just strengthened the case over and over again, and the new information coming out because of that. Um, and and that all is so important, and it's really especially important on Christmas because don't forget Herod. Herod saw Jesus as a huge threat, and he developed false narratives, didn't he? He gave the wise men a false narrative, um, excuses for himself a false narrative, the slaying of innocents, which will be coming up um, in after Christmas. I believe it's after Christmas, um, and you'll see he resorted to everything to stop Jesus. And more and more information is coming out in Richard's case of that same Herod spirit, evil spirit. I would say demon, Herod's demon is seen in this opposition to Richard, the opposition to President Trump, because the opposition of Richard is the opposition of President Trump, because they were trying to um, stop President Trump from winning the 2020 re-election. Okay, they wanted to stop him because so much was going on from 2017 to 2020. So much was going on, and they wanted to stop him, and they would go to any lengths, and that's why you saw Connell Wetton, the assistant special agent in charge at the El Paso FBI field office, leak Richard's name. I mean, he went as far as to leak Richard's name to the cartel because of his reporting on the Walmart mass shooting. Um, it was a false narrative, and that false narrative was being pushed by Beto O'Rourke. Remember, Beto O'Rourke went and visited Ernest Christopher Grant, he was the media sweetheart for the false narrative, and they had orchestrated this. It was very, very clear, especially when you do the background checks for the people that were pushing this false narrative. You can see where they're coming from, and it's up to no good. They're up to no good, and of course Beto O'Rourke and his wife, they were absolutely pushing this false narrative to stop President Trump. And why? Because Beto O'Rourke was his opponent. Beto O'Rourke wanted to be president. Beto O'Rourke and all of his backing and team wanted the White House. They wanted the White House because they wanted the Department of Justice. They wanted the FBI. They wanted the DNI. They wanted Homeland Security. They wanted all of the agencies because that would they could control it, and that would protect them from scrutiny for the terrible things that was going on at the border that clearly that they are that they that they want to happen because that's what they were pushing for, or that they are involved. Because don't forget that this Martha Mendez Aguilar, right? Her family worked for Beto O'Rourke. And you had the Arellano family. You had Rosa Maria Purchase, Arellano Caron's family have a house right next to Beto O'Rourke's house. Right next door. Right next door. Okay? So, this is uh, clearly um, this is not all coincidences, right? This is not all coincidences. That would be shocking if this was all coincidences, right? So, and that really, it just really makes me ask a lot of questions. It makes our family ask a lot of questions about El Paso Community Foundation because we have written them, and we know that the guy at the helm of El Paso Community Foundation, Eric Pearson, right? Eric Pearson is the brother-in-law of Beto O'Rourke, right? And so, it's, and of course, um, the El Paso Community Foundation totally, they controlled the Walmart mass shooting victims funds, right? Which we know that they were distributing illegally, that they were uh, giving unqualified individuals money from those funds. And so we know that El Paso Community Foundation and their response and their control over $12 million of the victims' funds, then the clear conflicts of interest with Beto O'Rourke because Beto O'Rourke was running for president, um, and then with Sylvia Brunda Firth, right? Sylvia Brunda Firth, she also sits on the board of directors for the El Paso Community Foundation, and many other. She holds a lot of keys for that area. She holds a lot of keys, even on both sides of the border. And clearly, conflicts of interest exist there, tons of conflicts of interest. And we know that she's in opposition of President Trump. We know she's in opposition of Richard Halliday. We know that. And so, those are the spirits of Herod that saw uh, Jesus, um, the truth, the truth as a threat, as a threat. And so this can be really compared very, very well to this evil spirit of Herod, and that they would go to any lengths, and and the evidence indicates that they have gone to extreme lengths to attack President Trump and Richard, to target Richard and to stop Richard from being President Trump's federal witness, the man inside Fort Bliss, and the federal witness for President Trump that the Walmart mass shooting was, as Beto O'Rourke's team, and Beto O'Rourke himself was propagating this false narrative that was false. And so, very, very important to think on this holy day, that we are still battling um, the the forces of darkness that are up to no good. I mean, if Beto O'Rourke is connected to Martha Mendez Aguilar, the La Diabla, the she-devil, involved in the worst type of crimes, Um, clearly, the El Paso Community Foundation needs to be looked at. They need to be absolutely looked at for targeting Richard. We know that they are behind targeting Richard. We know that. The funding and targeting of Richard and of President Trump. Um, and so, it is, um, the levels are getting higher and higher of the evidence that's coming out, that's being provided. I mean, can you imagine Cartel confirm that Connell Wenton, we have it. We have it, the hard evidence that Cartel confirmed that Connell Wenton was their inside man, the cartel's inside man inside the FBI. I mean, that's huge. That is really huge. And so, you know, and this information that we have pointing to every day, more and more pointing to El Paso Community Foundation. um, and how, that they're supposed to be a charity, that, they're considered a charity. And it is strange, isn't it, that, um, that this charity is really suspected in our book, suspected, and um, evidence indicates how they targeted a a U.S. Army whistleblower, right? A U.S. Army for political gain, for politics, for politics. And I don't know. Sometimes with President Trump, I think it's very personal to them. I think they really hate him. I really do. I think that they really hate him. And it was Herod's uh, uh, attacks and targeting of Jesus? Was it because he hated him? Or was it politics? Or was it both? I think it was both. I think it was both. So, yeah, so I just wanted to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and leave you with, how fortunate we are that we have Christmas to remind us of our victory against the forces of really darkness, forces of the worst type of crimes, and that our battle is with these against the spiritual darkness and demons that want to do such harm to our children, and that we have um, a Christmas to really remind us to protect children, to celebrate um, what it needs to be, what it needs to be, and that those that want to do harm to children, those that do harm to children, need to be held accountable. And because Richard was absolutely in communication also with CPS, Child Protective Services, he is very brave because he was absolutely um, doxxed by Connell Wetton for reporting on the Walmart mass shooting. Okay. But Richard was also whistleblowing on crimes against children. And we know that Leilani Hart had a very, very bad demon and was facilitating the worst type of crimes against children. So this is a time to, readjust our moral compass to uh, to God's to God. If God can come and humble Himself in the flesh to teach us what righteousness is, what truth is, what goodness is, what innocence is, then we can absolutely um, take His role model and apply it to our lives and hold these demons, the spirits of darkness, accountable. So thank you so much, everyone. God bless you, and I will be back tomorrow, God willing.